This week, in a special chat with the Chief, Chief Jared Mills chats with Lesley Jones of the Augusta Public Works, talking about the Kennebec River.
Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Chat with the Chief. As always, I'm your Chief Jared Mills, and today I'm here with, actually not the first time you've starred on this show, right?
No, I'm your second star now.
That's right, Public Works Director Lesley Jones. We're here to talk about a very important situation in Augusta to help shed some light on why we do what we do down here with the river and Front Street. As you can see, we've been contending with an ice jam for the last week or so. Behind us, and it's really challenging for city staff because we really have to balance the vehicles being parked, the convenience of parking down here because it's a high commodity. So with safety, and a lot of times we have to shut this roadway down because safety trumps everything. We've had, and I'm going to ask Lesley, we've had situations in the past that she has so much more experience than any one of us with this, that have really created some bad situations down here. So the whole idea of this episode is to educate the public on why we do what we do down here and some of the decisions that are made. When you come down and say, man, I have no place to park, why are they shutting this down? We're really doing it for a reason. So welcome, as always, Director Jones. So, yes, we're getting official. Basically, tell us a little bit as to what we saw this past week and kind of the decisions that were being, some of the information we got from the state with closing and the ice jam down here.
Well, with my Public Works Director's hat on, we were plowing snow on Sunday, and I really wasn't paying a lot of attention to the river. It had been open, driving across the river. We have two rivers up here in Augusta, and it looked all fine. And we actually got an email from Kennebec County, Sean Goodwin, saying, oh geez, the river's spiked. And it was up to level, I think it was 11, and which is an indication that we probably got something going on, such as an ice jam. And I guess what's important to know is typically the river is down around the level of 8 feet, which is 8 feet above mean sea level. So the ocean is down 40 miles away. And up here, the elevation of the river is typically anywhere between 4 and 8. And because the parking lot is so low, it's actually at elevation 12. So at 4 feet higher than what's typical, we get water coming in the parking lot. So what happened on Sunday was we had this ice that had started, and it had gotten thick enough that the water that's flowing down the river couldn't keep going down the river. So the river rose, and it rose like 3 or 4 feet almost instantaneously. And like Jared said, I'm an old timer here. I'm on 34 years. Experienced. And I was here for the flood of 87, which was different than an ice jam, but in the past 20 years, we've probably had 4 or 5 times when we've had ice like this, and all of a sudden it jams with water coming downstream, and this could literally go. We could be standing here, and we could be saying, oh geez, we've got to run, because this can jam and the water can come up right away. And I can remember 2 or 3 years ago, people rushing for their cars to move them, and a couple of knights in white armor just going through the water and getting in these cars and moving them out of the way. And there were some cars that didn't get out of the way, and they got flooded and they had to be towed out of the way. So it's really important, and like Jared said, it's Mother Nature. It's hard to predict, but we have to err on the side of safety because we don't want all these cars. These cars are worth thousands of dollars, and people lose their car in the convenience of getting around, plus you do pollution to the river. So we typically talk with the police chief and with the county, and one of the things, and everybody gets tired of me talking about my graph.
Never tired.
But the National Weather Service puts out a graph of the river. So, and like I said earlier, this is the river going up and down, and because Augusta's tidal, the river goes up and down. So this is more normal of what you would see when there's no impact from the ice jam. But earlier this week, this blue line, which is the river, was way up here, and this yellow block is action, which means we should be taking action. And once it gets into the red, which is above 12, we're at flood stage. At 12, water starts coming in this parking lot at that catch basin, and water seeks the same level. So you don't stop it just because there's a parking lot and a riverbank here. It all goes up. So if the river goes up to 14, it's at that back wall. So that whole parking lot is off limits.
And that's great. And you covered everything that I wanted you to. And the only thing I would add is more problematic this time of year when we've had floods like she's talking about. There's no ice, okay? There's no ice to contend with. But right now, this ice is just going to push. If this happens, it's going to push into the parking lot. It's going to start crushing vehicles. We're not going to be able to get them out. Floods sometimes we can deal with. We can get wreckers down here and get cars out immediately. But you start to interject these large chunks of ice, it's a dangerous situation for everybody. And you just have to sit and watch everything unfold. So we're always going to err on the side of caution. And I know that's frustrating for people. And I do. I completely understand. We don't just do it for no reason. It's really the safety aspect. And this is timely because this weekend, what's the forecast?
The forecast right now is for temperatures in the 40s and rain, and so you get melting upstream, and melting goes down to the watershed, which in this case is the river. Right now we don't have a lot of flow in the river because it's been cold, so we just got the natural flow that's coming. But if you get an inch or 2 or 3 inches of rain and it's all pouring into the river, all of a sudden you've got a huge charge of water trying to come down, and it gets to this area. And one of the things I noticed coming down here today was on Monday the ice jam started back here. So in the period of a week, it's all the way back to the railroad trestle. So until this ice moves, the water is going to be impacted. And the other thing that happens is that if this all of a sudden moves, our problem can become Hollowell's problem in 5 minutes, which was what happened a few years ago. We had a jam here, it broke, and Hollowell was underwater literally within minutes. So we're very, like Jared said, it's frustrating for everybody. It's hard for us to predict. But with these conditions here, this could go on for several weeks, and potentially, if this ends up, raising this level to 10 or 11, we could close this parking lot for days, which is what we had to do. Was it last year or the year before?
It was very frustrating.
Because it just kept coming in, going out, and as soon as it reaches 12, this parking lot is impacted, and 2 feet later, 2 feet more high, it impacts the back.
No, great information, and it is. And obviously, we're always waiting, we're always watching to keep it open as long as possible. It's like this weekend, I would predict we're probably going to have to close it based upon what they're forecasting. We could easily just shut it down now and be on the safe side, but we're going to work through the weekend, watch this, and close it at the last possible minute to make sure everybody's safe and their property's safe. So.
We should talk about signing up for the flood notifications.
Great point. Usually I'm the one who asks the questions.
I'm sorry. I don't want to steal the thunder.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna actually turn it around. How would you? What's a good notification system we have, and how do people sign up?
One thing we do is we post on Facebook, and police does tip 411. Yep. So anything that goes on Facebook goes there. We also have a reverse. We call it reverse 911 for the general public. Ours is a special software name, but you can sign up for flood alerts. And I believe you go onto the city's webpage and look for automated notifications. And you put in your name and you can do either phone, email, or text, or all three. And when we put out one of those notifications, we check off the box for flood notifications and send it to those people. If it's going to be bad flooding that could potentially affect, streams out in the country or other areas, we'll put it out as a public service announcement. So you can sign up for that. It's easy. My only caution is remember your password. So if you want to unsign, you're the only one who can unsign yourself from it.
Great information. Fountain of information as always. Director
Fountain of youth.
Fountain of youth and information. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.